Well, my mom and my dad have a great relationship, so you might think it's weird when I found my father on a dating app. Adulthood comes with a lot of unimaginable responsibilities and pressures from different parties. This pressure has been something I've always had to deal with. If there is one thing I've always done for myself, it's to fend for myself, because the idea of being fed by your parents and even pressurized even as a grown-up sucks to me. I'm quite comfortable with what I earn from my job. My name's Tiffany, I'm 31, I work with a marketing agency. I took my job seriously because it was a way for me to get away from reality for hours. Crazy, right? For all the hours I spent at work, I bury myself into my job. From sorting out files, to surfing the interwebs, to speaking with potential customers, to taking up roles that aren't mine. My life was pretty clumsy. Aside from going to work all day of my life, I really had nothing else I genuinely cared about. I've been single for over 2 years now. The longest 2 years of my life. I used my 20s to focus on myself, and I needed to be a successful lady, so I invested little into relationships. The one time I decided to go all out for a relationship, it was brutal. I had my heart toyed with, and I came to a conclusion that relationships are just a scam. Well, that mantra did not last long for me, because I longed to be in a relationship, and I was also being pressurized by my parents and my only friend. They were not ready to give me a break. I did not allow the pressure to get into a relationship get to me, because I needed a break. I needed months of rediscovery for myself. I go to club every weekend because for me, it was the only way I could relate to this world. The loud music, the alcohol, the dancing, it was all enough for me. I went clubbing with my work colleague turned friend, Rachel, this particular night. Rachel's in her early 40s, but she wouldn't know it because she could pass for someone in her mid-30s. For sure, God has his favorite, and Rachel still had a bangin' body even after spending decades on Earth. I feel intimidated going out with her because she ends up stealing all the attention to herself. If I wasn't a woman, I would have married her just because of her beauty alone. Rachel recently got a divorce, and one would wonder why a gorgeous woman like her would ever get a divorce. Well, it all doesn't end at being gorgeous. She was really discreet with her marriage, and the news came out as a shock when she told me she got divorced. I asked her to go into details, and Rachel told me she didn't really want to share, and she was only happy the marriage was never blessed with a child. She had her reasons, and we were good friends. I did not want to put pressure on her to tell me why she walked out of her marriage. Marriage can be crazy, and here's me getting pressured to marry when I don't even have a man yet. Get married and then divorce? I'd rather stay single all my life. Clubbing every weekend was a ritual for myself and my friend Rachel. She was even more social than I was, always exploring everything and anything. This night, Rachel arranged for me and a guy to spend the night together. According to her, I needed some warmth, some cuddles. She talked me into getting down with this guy. I mean, I've been out of a relationship for the past 2 years, and I've been celibate too. She said I just need to unwind. Deep down inside of me, I wanted the next guy I would settle for to be worth it. I did not stay single and celibate for years to end up with a guy I just hooked up with overnight. I told her I was going to do as she proposed, and I ended up running away. We got back to work, and my friend refused to talk to me for a few days. I decided to stir up a conversation, and I told her my reasons for escaping the scene. Rachel said she meant well for me, and she said she wasn't expecting me to just go down with the dude without having some sort of conversation with him first. Who knows? We might start a thing from there. I told her to quit dreaming. It doesn't just happen like that. She took my explanation in, and we hugged, and I guessed our issues got settled immediately. It was the beginning of another month, and I was super excited for the new month, aside from the fact that I had to sort out my bills for the next month upcoming. I have to pay rent, utility bills, and other expenses. Aside from those necessary expenses, I was elated for the new month. I got off work on this cold Wednesday evening. All I wanted to do was to get home, settle for something warm, and also pay my bills. Weather can start acting up at least expected time. I got home this evening, brought out my notepad to check my schedule for the evening. Remember I said I had a pretty clumsy life? Yes, but a part of me was still arranged pretty well. I was sipping the coffee I made when my phone starts ringing. The noise was so much and it was irritating. I felt like throwing it across the room, and this thing would cry when you least needed noise. The caller better be worth it or I cussed him out, I thought. Those were my words. I picked up to the crying phone to see my mom's name on the screen. Oh, I guess I can't cuss her out, what an escape. I greeted my mom and she told me to come home immediately. She did not bother to return my greetings. I could hear my father telling her to at least ask about my well-being. I told my mom to give my father the phone. I greeted him and he asked about me and my work. That man has always been so good to me. I wouldn't have asked the universe for a better father other than him. But then, I wasn't so close to my father right from time. My mom spoke into the phone yet again, and I guess she snatched it back from my father. She said she needed me to meet with her friend's son. My mom said the guy was quite handsome and she needs us to meet right now. I told her I have a tight schedule and fixing her and a guy, it wasn't something I was willing to do. Well, I told her about the workload on my head, and my mom said I should resign from my job and come meet my man. That was harsh, Mom. This woman didn't really care. I could hear my father telling my mom not to stress me. He further yelled into the phone and he said he had told her not to call me over such matters. Well, you know your wife. That woman just wanted to get me hooked up. I told her I can fit them in on a weekend, and we both agreed, so now I have an arrangement to look up to. What's up, everybody? Mr. Redito here. So this story has 5 updates, and things are about to start getting a little bit more pushy with OP and her mother. The first update happens 3 weeks after the arrangement with the mom and the guy to meet. Let's go ahead and jump into that now. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you want to see more saga stories like this, make sure you press that red subscribe button. Here is update number 1. It's been 3 weeks after the arrangement my mom made for me to meet this guy. I honored the arrangement, although I wasn't optimistic. I would not settle for someone I met through an arrangement. I'm too old for that. I can choose for myself. I was recounting the experience in my head, and I let out a little chuckle. The guy I met that day hasn't stopped calling me for the past 3 weeks. It's now becoming annoying and boring. I did not steal his kidney, so the calls weren't necessary. The day I met him was on a Saturday. I dressed my best. Well, I wasn't trying to impress him. I was only in a good mood, and I decided to dress according to my mood. My mom did not stop calling me. This woman called me till I got to her doorstep. Very dramatic woman, I'll add. She ushered me in and told me to greet her guest. I said hi to the guy, and he seemed extremely shy. He could not look at me directly. He was scared. That was the first turnoff for me. Because as a guy, why can't you stare deep into a woman's eyes? This guy was playing with his fingers as he was greeting me. I ignored that. I was still in a good mood. My mom told us to move to the dining area so we can eat and have some more discussions. The only thing I was excited about was the food. I got to eat my mom's food. She wasn't really a nice person, so her cooking on that auspicious day showed how much she wanted her arrangement to work out. Food was served and we were all excused. This guy wouldn't say anything. He concentrated fully on the food like it was a staring contest. I knew I was a pretty lady. Why wasn't he trying to start a conversation with me? I decided to take the lead, so unlike me, my first attempt was to compliment him. I told him I loved his outfit and I think he was cute. He let out a small smile and said thank you. He was supposed to take it up from there, but I set the stage, do the needful. This guy refused to return the compliment. I went on to ask him what he's doing for a living, just in case he would not ask again. I immediately told him I work with a marketing agency. He told me he was a dog breeder and he markets dogs from home. Although he's been out of business for a while ever since he lost his dogs to a virus. That was pretty sad. The conversation died again. I still did not give up, though. I asked this man if he would love to know anything about me. He said a no, without stuttering. It was sharp. He asked if he could get some more food instead. It took everything in me not to let out a laugh. Was he actually serious he wanted more food? I asked if he finds me attractive, and he said yes, but he doesn't think he would like to be with me. Well, I feel the same way too. Just that, he was too blunt. I asked him why, and this man said, I looked quite successful and he knew he was no match for me. Career women are the hardest to control. That statement sealed everything for me. We were only having a conversation and he was already showing this side of him. Who does he want to be with? A fellow dog breeder? I was getting really impatient. I called my mom out and I told her her guest needed more food. The smile my mom had plastered on her face was amusing, yet pretty embarrassing. My mom told me to join her in the kitchen so I can carry the guy's food to him. I went to her. Then she asked if I was getting along with the guy. I told her yes, obviously lying to her. She bragged about how she made the right choice. I asked her if she did her findings before she met up with the guy. To my surprise, she said yes and asked if anything was the problem. I told her no. I took the food to him and he grinned from ear to ear as soon as he saw his food. I could just list a one of 100 things I don't like in a guy that he had exhibited. To my surprise, he asked for my contact. I mean, for someone who thinks career women are hard to control, and for someone who doesn't see himself being with me, why does he want my number? Well, I hesitated, but ultimately I gave it to him. This guy drank the juice provided for the both of us, and he almost finished it. He let out a kid belch without courtesy, too. He then went on to talk about how he had dated ladies and how they came back to beg him for a second league of the relationship after a breakup. He talked as if dating ladies was him doing them a favor. I saw through him. He was a narcissist. I don't want to be with such a person. For someone that acted shy at first, he told me to give him a hug so we can seal our first meeting. Well, I thought a hug wouldn't hurt, so I stood up to do that. And the guy said this, "You are soft up there." Wow, so it turns out he's a pervert too, huh? I let out a hiss like a snake. I summoned my mom and told her our meeting ended early. She didn't trust me enough to believe my words, and she asked the guy to confirm, and he said yes, we had a nice time. My mom told us to be of good behavior and always reach out to each other. We both stepped out, and my mom said it would be nice for me to drop the guy off since I brought my car. I totally turned a deaf ear to her words. Why would I drop a pervert off? No way. I drove off without looking back. Reminiscing on the event, my phone rang and his name appeared on the screen. Talk of the devil. He calls at every giving opportunity, and I just allow it to ring. I laughed at myself. My life has not gotten this bad. Why does everyone want to hook me up? First, it was Rachel setting me up with a guy from the club, and now my mom setting me up with a narcissist and a pervert. I'm done with everyone. What's up, guys? Mr. Reddito here. So update 2's coming up, and it just doesn't seem like things are going OP's way. This next update took place 4 months after the first encounter with the guy that was set up by the mother. Alright, let's go ahead and jump straight into update 2. It's been 4 months after my encounter with the arranged guy, and I finally had the courage to tell Rachel about it. I never filled her in when it first started, and I only told her that I needed to see my mom. I did not give her a backstory. I did not want her to make fun of me or give me an advice I wouldn't like. So, I made sure I already handled things my way before I spilled the beans to her. It was our lunch break at work, and I told Rachel I had a gist for her. We are friends for it, but we don't do gossip. I dived into the world of the past happening to me, and I took her maybe 4 months back into my life. As expected, she laughed and she told me she would have been so mad at me if I settled for such a person. She said the guy acted like her ex-husband. He was a narcissist too. Rachel said although she saw the red flags before they got together, but she convinced herself it was a green flag, and the years spent with her ex-husband were like 1,000,000 years of torture. Rachel told me, and as much as I wanted to call a man mine, I needed to be careful. She further said she would not want me to go through what she went through. That being said, we hugged, and I've reached the conclusion that hugging after each heart-to-heart conversation was a way of sealing our talks. Rachel said she just came across this app during one of her researches on the World Wide Web. She told me the name of the app and also told me to download it. I asked her what it was all about, and she said it's an online dating app. That sounded gross to me. Because why would I be dating on an app? It was as if I wanted to sell myself. I told her I had no interest in it, and Rachel said shut up and just sign up. I don't really need to use it. She says it's just a community and I can make some real friends. To be honest, I don't know how I became friends with Rachel. She was full of making bad decisions. Such a bad influence. I downloaded the app with our office Wi-Fi and signed up. She said she would teach me how to navigate my ways on the app since I was outdated. Rachel said after work today we'll take some hot pictures and post on the dating site. I told her I wasn't going to do that. It was screaming desperation. I said if I want a man, I'll get a man. Rachel gave me the shocker of my life. She said, "Why have you not gotten a man for the past 2 years then?" Well, I was a little taken aback, but I masked the pain I felt. We returned back to work and I could not stop thinking about what my friend said. She meant no harm with what she said, as she thought it was one of the many shades we throw at each other, but I felt differently. What she said this time got me. I've never given it much thought, but now that I think about it, I feel less attractive. Since no one's asking me out, guys were not coming my way. It was as if I was struck a nerve in me. And I was made to realize that nothing was bubbling in my life anymore. Rachel's 40, and men still worship her. In fact, she doesn't need any dating app for her to get any man she wants, but me, I was just in my 30s and no man dared look at me twice. Maybe I was the problem after all. Everyone tried to hook me up. My mother has tried, even Rachel herself, but I've turned down the people they found for me. I really am the problem. Maybe I should just settle for the guy my mom arranged with me, but he said he doesn't see himself being with me either. Maybe I can make him like me. I was desperate. I was in pain. I did not know tears were rolling down my eyes until Rachel tapped me. She asked me why I was crying, and I didn't realize it until she said that. I told her I didn't know what was wrong. She said I can talk to her. Why was I lost in thought and I'm in so much tears? Well, I was not so good at lying, so I told her what I was thinking about and what she said. I told her that she said earlier it did have some effects on me. Well, Rachel said that she didn't say that to hurt me. She apologized and she told me I was enough and I should not think something was wrong with me ever. She said that I should definitely remember she wasn't perfect too, and we are both just imperfect people trying to find their balance in this strange world. Rachel sure knows how to hit a nerve in me and knows how to calm a nerve. I'm just too soft to have a crazy friend. Update number 3. The only dating app that has been on my phone for over a month and I haven't bothered to open it. In fact, I totally forgot I even had such a thing. We didn't have much work to do on this particular Friday, so everyone at work was either busy gossiping, napping, or giggling at their cell phones. Rachel fell into the category of people giggling at their phone as usual. She really does not know how to act her age, but it's cool. I walked up to her and I tried to snatch her phone in her playful manner, but she was quick to keep it out of my reach. I asked her why she was wearing a big smile while staring at the work of technology in her hands. She said that she was having so much fun on the dating app. Quote, "Blessed be the day I discovered this app." I laughed at her choice of words. I told her I've not even for once opened the app on my phone. She said we wouldn't get started now and set up a profile for me. Well, I was really curious to know what was interesting in the app. I handed her my phone and we did set up my profile. We made my profile on the app discreet, that no one can access my information unless I grant them permission to. I loved it because I happen to be someone that doesn't like being out there. So it felt like the perfect space for me. As for Rachel, her profile was public. She said she had nothing to hide. I swear she should have gone into showbiz. The day ended and I was already glued to the app. I started using the app and continued my quest to find out the interesting things to do. I joined a group, and all we do there is share playlists and talk about movies. It was quite fun for me, talking to strangers and arguing about movies. The following day, I got a message from Rachel. She says, it seems she's found her man. I was confused. Were you looking for your man before? Rachel said I was too dumb for her liking, and we laughed. She said she'd always knew the dating app was made for her, and she told me that her date was a man that she met on the app. I was surprised because I've never had a private conversation with any man on the app. All I've done was chat in group chats and share my playlist. Well, I was still an upcoming user, and Rachel said it wasn't her first time of having a private chat with a man, but it was a different with this man. The way Rachel was speaking so highly of this guy, it was as if my friend was already far gone in love with him. I told her to send me a picture of him so I can know if he's worth drooling over. She said no, she needs to meet him first before she shares his picture, and I think that's quite reasonable. Rachel said I would be her driver for the day. I was prompted to ask her when the date is, and she told me the next 3 hours. Girl, you needed me to drive to see you estranged lover today, and you're just now telling me? I told her to start getting ready as I would fix up and get dressed too. I thought I was going to have the day to myself, but Rachel, the woman that is after my life, came for me. I wish she knew how to drive. I would have enjoyed my Saturday in peace without her dragging me out of my house. I did all I had to, since I wasn't the one on the date. I threw on a pair of shorts, an oversized sweatshirt, and I drove down to her house. We don't really bust each other's houses much. All we did was meet at work, then the club. There are days we go shopping together, and we were close friends, yet we don't really meddle into each other's personal affairs. We set out on our journey. She told me they agreed to meet at an eatery. We used our map, and it was easy to locate the eatery. The eatery was a 45-minute drive from her house and an hour and 15-minute drive from mine. We got to the parking lot, and she dialed the man's number to inform him of her presence. He told her over the phone that he was wearing a pair of jeans and a blue striped shirt. We were looking at a man standing towards the entrance of the eatery. He was backing us, and so we only saw his back view. I pointed at him, and my friend confirmed, yes, it was her date, since he does match the description and all. Something was clear to me because the back view I saw looked like my dad, in all honesty. My dad has a perfectly ripped body, and he looked too fit to be 50 years of age. Everyone around me seems to be age backwards, but me. I age forward, I guess. I shrugged of the thought, and because why would that be my dad? Anyways, besides, she met this man on a dating app. Why would my soft yet disciplinarian father be on a dating app? Rachel got out of my car, and I told her to have fun, and I drove off. I wasn't going to stay till the end of her date. What am I, a limousine driver? Update number 4. The back view I saw of that man did not leave my mind still, as it was the perfect replica of my father. I decided to call my mom since I was thinking about them, and she picked up on the second ring. I asked her how she was doing, and I asked about my father too. She said he should be fine, and I asked her what she meant. My father should be fine. She went mute for a few seconds, then told me she had something to do and we would talk later. I couldn't make another statement before she ended the call. I didn't think much of it because my mom can be like that sometimes. I got home and rushed to my bed. This is where I should be, not anywhere else. I didn't know how I slept off. I woke up to meet my friend's message. I've been asleep for about 4 hours. She told me they ended the date already and he's currently driving her home, and they'll be passing the night at her place. What? You both are just meeting after weeks of chatting online, and he's passing the night at your place already? Not even a hotel, huh? Rachel is such a risk taker. I told her to be careful, and I said she needs to send me his picture for security purposes. She sent his picture immediately, and I got the biggest shock of my life. The man my friend met online dating app was my father. The man driving her home and preparing to spend the night at her place was my father. How come? I called her immediately to be sure she sent the right picture. She told me yes, and she even made jokes about me being carried away because of how handsome he is. I didn't even know what to say to Rachel, and I ended the call with confusion, taking all the glory. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. So we just found out something absolutely shocking. I couldn't even imagine being in this position if I was OP. However, there is one final update, guys. Update number 5. I have it right here for you. I hope you're enjoying today's story. Let's go ahead and see what the heck is going on with OP, her friend, and her father. I didn't know what to do after realizing my father was seeing my friend. I know my friend's oblivious to this man being my father, but didn't he tell her he's married? He didn't tell her he has a daughter in her 30s, oh no. My father's cheating on my mother. That kept ringing in my head, and the image of my father and my friend. Rachel being together would not leave my head. It just doesn't sound right. I needed to tell Rachel. I needed to tell my mom. I needed to tell my father too. Everyone needs to stop this madness. It was already getting late into the night. So, I picked up my phone to call my mom for the second time in the day. She asked me why I was calling again. I told her I need to see her now. I told her I needed to see my father too, and she told me he wasn't home and I can tell her anything I want to say. I told her, well, I'll be driving over there soon, don't you worry. She advised against it since it was so late, and we agreed to see very early in the morning the following day. I was so impatient. I could not find my sleep throughout the night. I set out very early the next day. It was a Sunday. I got home and asked my mom what was going on. She asked me what I meant, and I explained the whole thing about my friend discovering an online dating app, how she told me about the app, and how she's been using it. How she's been chatting with a man for weeks and how they finally agreed to meet. Just for me to discover the man that's been making my friend happy was my father. I expected some sort of reaction from Mom because who would hear her husband was cheating on her and not throw hands? But she was too laid back for my liking. Her expression was as if she had been expecting something like that. I asked if she knew about my father cheating, and my mom said my father wasn't cheating, and he has every right to step out and find a woman. I didn't understand everything she was saying. I asked her if something had been going on between father and her. My father entered the house, and I was happy he met us on the conversation. So, I explained the whole thing to him, and he told me that, first of all, he never knew Rachel was my friend, and he's sorry about that. He said he never meant to hurt me. I then asked him why he was cheating on Mom, and he looked at Mom, looked back at me. He told me my mother cheated first, and I said, how do you mean? Why would she do that? He told me my mom lived in a lie for 31 years of their life together. I said, should I be sitting because he was about to tell me something? He told me my mom had me for another man. That sounded like a joke. I looked at my mom and I saw that she had her face buried in her palms. If my father was lying on her, she would have said something, but she didn't say anything. He said he got to find out through my mom's friend. They lost contact years ago, and that's because they fought. He said about 3 months ago, Mom's friend became a lecturer in the university. He lectures, and she told him about the story. He said my mom and her friend fought and separated over the issue. He said Mom's friends advised against paternity fraud, and Mom cut her off because of that. My dad said as of today, he and my mom are divorced, and he was only allowing her to stay in the house till she finds a place to live. He told me he'll always be my father, as he always has been, but he wants my mom out of his life. I stumbled out of the house and drove off. I was crying profusely. I don't even want to know who my real father is. They're all a bunch of insane people. I don't want to have anything to do with my mother anymore, too. She dares engage in paternity fraud? Maybe I've been suffering for her sin all these years of my life. So this story has one of the craziest twists that we've seen in a long time. I was disgusted by the father's actions going on a date with literally his daughter's friend. I know he didn't know it, but still, ew. Anyways, besides that, then we get the groundbreaking news that, hey, the father's not cheating. Mother and father have been divorced for a while, and she was the one who actually cheated. Pfft, mind blown. Guys, let me know your thoughts about this story. You can drop them down below in the comment section. If you've ever seen anyone go through something similar, cheating or something to do with the parents, let me know your thoughts or maybe share your story. I love when I read comments with shared stories, guys. If you don't know who I am, my name's Mr. Redito, and I read stories every single day. If that's something you would like to see, go ahead and click that subscribe button. I'll be here tomorrow, and I hope to see you guys too. Have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you later.